Assalamualaikum and good evening. You're now with me, Yusuf Shukri, for TVS Nightline. Our top story. A woman has been arrested in connection with the fatal cemetery incident. The deadly incident occurred at a cemetery along Jalan Lumba Kuda on Saturday, leaving a 67-year-old cemetery worker dead and his 34-year-old stepson seriously injured. Padawan Police Chief Superintendent Muhammad Irwan Hafiz Matrazi says the 28-year-old suspect was arrested by police at around 4:45 p.m. on Saturday at a commercial area in Mile 17, Siburan. The suspect is currently under remand for 3 days to facilitate investigations.
Efforts are underway to identify and locate other suspects believed to be involved in the case. At the scene, police found a 67-year-old man lying motionless on the ground with injuries to his body. Members of the public came across the victims, believed to be cemetery workers, lying unconscious at the site and alerted the authorities. He was pronounced dead at the scene by paramedics. The case is being investigated under Section 302 of the Penal Code for murder.
All flood victims displaced by recent flooding in southern Sarawak have returned home as conditions continue to improve, with all temporary relief centres are now closed and evacuation figures reduced to zero. The Sarawak Disaster Management Committee SDMC confirms the closure of 8 relief centres at 6 p.m. and in Kuching were officially closed at 6 p.m. today following favourable weather and receding floodwaters across affected areas.
Meanwhile, the floods in Lawas have fully recovered, with all 8 PPS closing in stages from 12:30 p.m. today. Total of 918 evacuees from 237 families were able to safely return to their homes after days of displacement caused by rising waters. Meanwhile, in Sabah, its State Disaster Management Committee announces that the number of victims in Kota Kinabalu and Beaufort increased to 510 people from 164 families compared to 495 people from 159 families this morning following the rain since Friday. In Beaufort, a total of 328 victims from 118 families from 8 villages have been placed at the Dewan Selagon Permanent Relief Centre, which has been operational since Friday evening. In Kota Kinabalu, 182 victims from 46 families are taking shelter at Dewan Masjid Al-Munir, Kampung Darau.
Now, the Petronas Youth Football Champions League PYFCL 2025 concluded with KV Miri Landas crowned as Under-16 champion after a 2-0 win over My Team X SM Kai in the final. Head coach Muhammad Hakimi Man credited the victory to sustained effort, strong preparation and effective tactical planning amid tough competition and challenging conditions.
Yang penting untuk saya game analisis tu membantu kita sangat-sangat. So kita dah tahu pergerakan dia orang kan. So kita dah ready. Kita gunakan dia punya kelekaan. Apa-apa pun saya ucapkan tahniah lah sebab dia orang memang fighting lah. Fighting yang lebih saya bangga. Dia orang bermain bola dengan baik. Never, dia tak ada insiden-insiden yang kita tak elok. Itu yang kita kena tunjukkan dengan audien hari ini.
Hakimi also expresses hope that the victory will attract wider support for KV Miri as one of Sarawak's football development hubs. He believes that Miri is the breeding ground that gave birth to exceptional players with the likes of Joseph Kalang, Gabriel Nistel-Roy and Philemon Anyi. With proper support and infrastructure, Hakimi mulls on high accomplishments that can be achieved if KV Miri is transformed into a football development hub. Meanwhile, for the under-14 category, Cascara Junior emerged champions after defeating SSN Sarawak 4-3 on penalties. In the same development, parents are urged to continue giving strong moral support and encouragement to their children in football development, even after the conclusion of tournaments such as the PYFCL 2025, which plays a vital role in nurturing young talents in Sarawak. Deputy Minister in the Premier's Department, Dato' Abdullah Saidul, says parents must remain as the backbone of young players who rely heavily on moral support and motivation to achieve future success.
Kepada penonton-penonton semua, please don't give up on your kids. Apa yang dipamerkan walaupun ada yang tidak dapat berpeluang untuk bermain, percayalah, saya rasa jati mereka terjamin kalau mereka terus terlibat dalam sukan, menjauhi daripada perkara-perkara yang tidak elok. Trust me, they will grow up become a good people person.
Abdullah also praised the commitment shown by players throughout the tournament and called for values such as discipline, teamwork, the ability to follow instructions and emotional control on the field to be carried into daily life. He says the young players competing in the tournament have great potential to represent Sarawak at the highest level and may even earn the opportunity to play for the nation in the future. PYFCL 2025 was held for 7 days from December 28, 2025 to January 3, 2026, involving 500 students from 20 top teams in the under 14 and under 16 categories. Now, there is no denying that Israel plays a vital role in pioneering multi-terror attacks across the globe. One that we are most familiar with is the ongoing genocide in Palestine since 1948. But the Zionist regime's thirst for destruction does not only apply to where their quote-unquote promised land is, but to other countries who it deems are conspiring against their cause to wipe Palestine from the face of the earth. So here are the countries Israel has struck, including the number of times it launches any attack in 2025. Many of the countries that were harmed by Israel in 2025 are located in the Middle East, which includes Iran, Lebanon, Qatar, Syria, and Yemen. It also carried out strikes in Tunisian, Maltese, and Greek territorial waters when multiple countries carried out the humanitarian aid via flotilla mission. Malaysia was among the rank of the mission, and those involved were detained, but fortunately was released upon negotiations by Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. Based on a study by Al Jazeera, which coined statistics by the Armed Conflict Location and Event Data, or ACLED, Israel carried out 10,631 attacks from January 1st, 2025 to December 5th, 2025. Most attacks were inflicted across Palestine, about 8,332 times, an average of 25 attacks per day. This includes at least 7,024 attacks across Gaza and 1,308 across the occupied West Bank. Despite an earlier ceasefire on January 19th, 2025, which later was violated in March 17th, Israel continued attacks across Gaza, including those seeking relief as Palestinians battle famine. Israel has also accelerated its attacks across the West Bank, launching the largest military assault in decades as it seeks to suppress resistance and tighten control in areas including Jenin, Tulkarem, and the Nur Shams refugee camps. Meanwhile, Lebanon ranks as the second most frequently attacked country by Israel, with 1,653 attacks, followed by Iran, 379, Syria, 207, Yemen, 48, Tunisian waters, 2, and once each in Qatar, Maltese waters, and Greek waters. ACLED, however, made disclaimers to these statistics as they are based on verified reports and likely undercount the actual number of attacks due to reporting gaps in conflict zones. Currently, ACLED stands as an independent conflict monitor across the globe, tracking eruption of violence. And countries it has deemed as dangerous zones include Mexico, Ukraine, and Myanmar, among others. More development on Israel's ethnic cleansing of Palestine. The illegal state is currently working on a bill that would effectively block any form of humanitarian missions in Gaza. RT International gives us an inside look with Bushra Khalidi, the Oxfam policy lead. Quick background, Oxfam is a global confederation of charities working to end injustice of poverty by fighting inequality, saving lives during crisis, and empowering people to build better futures. Over to Bushra.
We submitted our registration application months ago, and we've been engaging in good faith with the Israeli authorities and our donors throughout the process. And Israeli authorities are will be treating these applications as incomplete because we've refused to submit sensitive personal data, Palestinian staff and their families, specifically against the backdrop of over 500 humanitarian workers that have been killed, some of which with their families in the last 2 years. And the reason we are not submitting those lists and that information is because we cannot legally or ethically transfer that data for opaque, security vetting. Because doing so would violate our duty of care, it would violate international data protection standards and humanitarian principles. But just to clarify, also it's not only about the lists of staff. There's also other criteria that would that include vague grounds for denial, such as alleged delegitimizing activities, which is not defined in the criteria. And this criterion has been used for years in Israel's broader campaign against Palestinian and international civil society. So this is about control and silencing. It's not really about security. We will continue to work in Gaza despite the ban, because this is our humanitarian imperative. It's our mandate. We have our colleagues. We have about 30 colleagues in Gaza where they see the need. They will go to the store, to the local market and purchase whatever's available to the local market to deliver to the community. So however way we can support our partners, local groups, whatever communities we see in need, we will continue to do.
The seizure of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife by the U.S. military operation in Caracas is deemed unprecedented in scope and nature. On a Facebook post, Malaysian Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim says he is closely monitoring developments in Venezuela with grave concern, while describing the U.S. action as a clear violation of international law and unlawful use of force against a sovereign state.
He stresses that Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, must be released without delay, warning that the forcible removal of a sitting head of government through external intervention sets a dangerous precedent. Anwar reiterates that Malaysia remains firm in upholding international law and respecting sovereignty as essential foundations for peaceful relations between states. According to him, constructive engagement, dialogue and de-escalation remain the most credible path towards an outcome that protects civilians and allows Venezuelans to pursue their legitimate aspirations without further harm.
Of course, the U.S. military operation that led to the seizure of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro on Saturday sparked international alarm, with allies and foes of Washington and Caracas expressing disquiet. President Donald Trump says that the U.S. would quote-unquote run Venezuela and tap its huge oil reserves, and posted a picture of Maduro in custody on a U.S. naval ship wearing a blindfold and handcuffs.
La Fuerza Armada Nacional Bolivariana informa al mundo entero que en la madrugada de hoy, 3 de enero, el pueblo venezolano ha sido objeto de la más criminal agresión militar por parte del gobierno de los Estados Unidos de Norteamérica.
Tengamos toda la fe puesta y al final de esta batalla el pueblo de Venezuela saldrá victorioso. Que al final de estos ataques nosotros venceremos. ¡Que viva la patria!
Maduro and his wife were flown by helicopter to New York City, where they faced drug trafficking and weapons charges. They were seized by U.S. Special Forces during a pre-dawn attack in which airstrikes pounded sites in and around the Venezuelan capital Caracas late on Saturday. Countries such as China, Russia and Iran, which have long-standing ties with Maduro's government, were quick to condemn the operation, but their alarm was also shared by Washington's allies, including France and the EU. Wrapping up the Nightline, the managers of the Swiss ski resort bar where dozens died during a fire at a New Year's celebration investigation are underway for negligent manslaughter. French couple Jacques and Jessica Moretti own and manage Le Constellation Bar in Crans, Montana, which was crammed with young partygoers when a blaze began in a packed basement at around 1:30 a.m. on Thursday.
Alors, je vous confirme que hier, en fin de journée et en toute fin de journée, il y a une instruction pénale qui a été ouverte à l'encontre des 2 gérants. Cette instruction pénale va permettre, en collaboration également avec toutes les parties qui sont concernées, de mettre en avant et d'explorer toutes les pistes. Je l'ai déjà dit à réitérées reprises, il n'y a aucune piste qui est laissée à l'abandon. Toutes les pistes sont explorées. Et là, en ouvrant cette instruction, ça va permettre justement d'avancer de façon conforme au Code de procédure pénale. J'aimerais vraiment souligner 2 éléments. Ça a été ouvert parce que nous avons des soupçons, mais que tant qu'il n'y a pas une condamnation, il y a une présomption d'innocence.
40 people were killed and 119 injured, according to the latest toll. Dozens of victims were taken to nearby countries for urgent treatment, while authorities pointed the finger at lit sparklers attached to champagne bottles, igniting foam on the ceiling. Police also states that they had so far identified 8 Swiss nationals killed in the fire, all under the age of 24, and 2 of them are just 16 years old. Additionally, authorities has launched a criminal investigation against the bar managers. I'm Yusuf Shukri. Thank you for watching. Good night.